The autumn leaves drifted across the wooden platform of Clearwater Station as 24-year-old Katherine Moore sat on the weathered bench, clutching the letter that had shattered her dreams just hours earlier. The golden afternoon light cast long shadows between the buildings of the frontier town. But Katherine barely noticed the beauty around her as she read the devastating words for the third time. Katherine had traveled over 1,000 miles from Boston to become the mail-order bride of Samuel Harrison, a prosperous rancher, who had promised her a home and a future through months of correspondence. But the letter she held, delivered by the station master when she arrived, contained Samuel's apology and his confession that he had married someone else the week before. "I regret any inconvenience this may cause," the letter concluded in Samuel's careful handwriting. "I have enclosed funds for your return journey east as I understand this news will be most disappointing." Katherine folded the letter with trembling hands, feeling the weight of rejection settle over her like a heavy cloak. She had left Boston with nothing but hope in the few belongings in her worn carpet bag. Now she faced the choice between returning to a city where she had no family and no prospects or remaining in a frontier town where she knew no one and had no means of support. As Katherine sat in the growing twilight, wondering what would become of her, she became aware of a small presence nearby. A little girl who appeared to be about 5 years old was standing at the edge of the platform, watching her with curious blue eyes. The child wore a blue dress with a dark pin and small black boots, and she clutched a worn teddy bear that had clearly been a beloved companion for many adventures. "Hello," the little girl said softly, approaching Katherine with the fearless curiosity that children bring to new encounters. "Are you sad?" Katherine looked at this sweet child and felt her first genuine smile since receiving Samuel's letter. "Hello, dear. Yes, I suppose I am a little sad. My name is Katherine. What is yours?" "I am Lucy," the girl replied, settling onto the bench beside Katherine as if they were old friends. "I live here with Papa. Are you waiting for someone?" Katherine considered how to explain her situation to a child. "I was supposed to meet someone, but he changed his mind about seeing me." Lucy's face grew serious as she processed this information. "That was not very nice of him. Papa says that when you make promises to people, you should keep them." "Your papa sounds like a wise man," Katherine said, touched by Lucy's simple moral clarity. Lucy studied Katherine's face with the intent gaze that children use when they are trying to understand adult problems. "Do you have somewhere to live?" The direct question brought tears to Katherine's eyes. "Not yet, Lucy. I am still figuring that out." At that moment, a man's voice called out from the street. "Lucy, there you are. I've been looking for you." Katherine looked up to see a tall man in a brown coat and hat approaching the platform. He appeared to be in his early 30s with kind eyes and the weathered hands of someone who worked hard for his living. When he reached them, he removed his hat politely. "I apologize if Lucy has been bothering you, miss. She has a tendency to strike up conversations with anyone who will listen." "She has not been bothering me at all," Katherine assured him. "She has been wonderful company. I am Katherine Moore." "Thomas Bennett," the man replied, extending his hand. "I own the general store here in town. And this little wanderer is my daughter, Lucy." Lucy tugged on her father's coat sleeve. "Papa, Miss Katherine is sad because someone broke a promise to her and now she does not have anywhere to live." Thomas looked at Katherine with growing concern and understanding. "Miss Moore, are you perhaps a mail-order bride who has encountered some difficulty?" Katherine felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment, but Thomas's tone held no judgment, only genuine concern. "Yes, I am afraid so. The gentleman I was to marry has decided to pursue other arrangements." Thomas's expression grew serious. "I am very sorry to hear that. That puts you in a difficult position, especially with winter approaching." Lucy looked between the two adults, then fixed her gaze on Katherine with the kind of intensity that children show when they have made an important decision. "Miss Katherine, do you like children?" "Very much," Katherine replied honestly. "I taught school back in Boston before I decided to come west." Lucy's eyes lit up with excitement. "Papa, Miss Katherine is a teacher and she likes children and she needs somewhere to live." Thomas looked at his daughter with the mixture of amusement and concern that parents show when their children are clearly planning something. "Lucy, what are you thinking?" Lucy took Katherine's hand in her small one and looked up at her with eyes full of hope and longing. "Miss Katherine, we do not have a mama. She went to heaven when I was little, and Papa gets very lonely sometimes, even though he tries to hide it from me." Katherine felt her heart clench at this child's innocent honesty about her family's loss and need. "Miss Katherine, Lucy continued, her voice dropping to a whisper as if she was sharing the most important secret in the world. Can you be my mommy forever? Papa needs someone to take care of him, and I need someone to read me stories and teach me about being a lady. Katherine looked into Lucy's hopeful face and felt something shift in her chest. This child was offering her exactly what she had been searching for, not through a business arrangement or formal correspondence, but through the simple recognition that they needed each other. Thomas knelt down beside his daughter, his voice gentle but serious. Lucy, becoming a family is not something that happens because we want it to. Miss Katherine barely knows us. But Papa, Lucy said with the logic that children apply to matters of the heart. You always tell me that we should help people who need help. Miss Katherine needs a family and we need a mama. It is perfect. Katherine looked at this remarkable little girl who had seen their mutual needs so clearly, then at Thomas who was watching the exchange with wonder and growing hope. Lucy, Katherine said carefully, being a mama is a very important job. Are you sure you would want me to try to learn how to do it? Lucy nodded vigorously. I could teach you all the things mamas need to know, like how I like my eggs cooked and which stories help me fall asleep, and Papa could teach you about running a store and living in a frontier town. Thomas stood up slowly, his eyes meeting Katherine's. Miss Moore, I know this is highly unconventional, but Lucy has a point about mutual need. I have been struggling to raise her alone while running the store, and winter is no time for anyone to be without shelter and support. Katherine felt tears spring to her eyes as she realized that this unexpected encounter might be offering her something more valuable than anything Samuel Harrison could have provided. Mr. Bennett, are you suggesting? I am suggesting that perhaps we could help each other, Thomas said carefully. You need a home and a family, and Lucy and I need someone who can bring warmth and wisdom to our household. If you would be willing to consider staying in Clearwater, we could see if we might build something meaningful together. Lucy clapped her hands together with joy. Does that mean Miss Katherine can be my mama? Katherine looked at this precious child who had seen past her circumstances to her heart and at the kind man who was offering her not just shelter but the possibility of genuine family. Lucy, I would be honored to try to be the best mama I can be for you. 6 months later, on a beautiful spring morning with wildflowers blooming across the prairie, Katherine and Thomas were married in the little church at the center of Clearwater. Lucy served as both flower girl and maid of honor, beaming with happiness as she watched her family become official. The pastor spoke about how God sometimes redirects our paths when we think we are lost, leading us to destinations more wonderful than anything we could have planned for ourselves. During the ceremony, as Katherine and Thomas exchanged vows with Lucy standing between them, Katherine reflected on how a broken promise had led her to an unbroken family. Samuel Harrison's rejection had felt like the end of her dreams, but it had actually been the beginning of a love story more beautiful than any she could have imagined. Lucy's innocent question had opened the door to a relationship built not on business arrangements or formal agreements, but on mutual care, respect, and the simple recognition that love grows best when it is needed and freely given. Years later, when people would ask Katherine how she came to Clearwater, she would always smile and say that sometimes the best families are not the ones we plan for, but the ones that recognize us when we most need to be found. The mail-order bride, who thought no one wanted her, had discovered that the most important people had been waiting for her all along, not because of a letter or an advertisement, but because a little girl's heart had room for a mama, and a good man's home had space for love to grow. And Lucy, now grown with children of her own, would tell her own daughters about the day she met a sad lady on a train platform and asked the question that brought their family together. Can you be my mommy forever? Proving that sometimes the most important proposals come not from grown-ups with formal intentions, but from children who see love where adults see only problems, and who have the courage to ask for what their hearts need post.